Western Australia's Combat Sports Commission has officially declined the application for what would have been Australia's first ever bare-knuckle boxing event in Perth. This decision marks a significant moment in the ongoing debate around the sport's place in the country's sporting landscape. The Commission's spokesperson stated clearly that the event did not meet the necessary criteria required for approval. This refusal came after weeks of scrutiny from medical professionals, political opposition, and public debate. The WA government found itself under intense pressure during this period. Medical experts, particularly those concerned about the long-term health risks associated with bare-knuckle boxing, voiced strong concerns. Opposition members also weighed in, adding political weight to the scrutiny of the application. Michael Page, president of the Australian Medical Association (AMA) WA branch, publicly welcomed the Commission's decision. He said that rejecting the event was the correct call. Page reminded the public that bare-knuckle boxing was outlawed in the United States until as recently as 2019, pointing to the sport's controversial and violent history. He emphasized that the sport is widely regarded as dangerous, with a high risk of serious injury, particularly brain trauma. Page made it clear he rejects comparisons between bare-knuckle boxing and other combat sports such as mixed martial arts (MMA) or traditional boxing. His primary concern is the long-term impact of repeated blows to the head and the risk of chronic concussion symptoms among fighters. We need to be examining all combat sports critically and questioning whether we should condone sports that involve repeated head trauma and brain damage, he said. Page addressed claims of hypocrisy regarding the Commission's decision, noting that allowing boxing or MMA events is not comparable to endorsing bare-knuckle boxing. He suggested the Commission's decision is a step toward drawing a clear line on which combat sports are acceptable in society. There's no benefit to proliferating sports that inherently risk serious brain injury, especially when there are plenty of other sporting options available, he added. Last week, the head of the Combat Sports Commission, Bob Kucera, gave a different perspective. He acknowledged that many people view bare-knuckle boxing with distaste but warned that banning it outright might drive the sport underground. Kucera's comments highlighted the complexity of regulating combat sports, balancing public safety concerns with the reality that prohibitions don't always eliminate demand. Despite the Commission's rejection, Bare-Knuckle Fighting Championship (BKFC) proceeded with announcing its July 19 fight card via social media, with Perth Arena advertising ticket sales for the event before the decision was made public. The event was promoted as an Australian first for bare-knuckle boxing, promising a historic moment for the sport. Among the fighters listed on the card was Tasmanian bare-knuckle boxer Bec Rawlings, a prominent figure in the sport and one of its vocal advocates. Rawlings expressed deep disappointment at the Commission's refusal to approve the event. She described the decision as overreaching and hypocritical, particularly in light of the acceptance of MMA and UFC events in Western Australia. Rawlings argued that the criticism of bare-knuckle boxing often stems from a lack of understanding and education about the sport. If they took the time to learn about the sport, watch an event, and see the skill and talent of the fighters, opinions might be different, she said. She highlighted that fighters in bare-knuckle boxing are highly skilled athletes who deserve recognition beyond the negative stereotypes often associated with the sport. Rawlings accepted that the event would likely go ahead in Queensland, where regulations are more favorable. The Commission confirmed there is no avenue for appeal against the decision, closing the door on any immediate attempts to overturn it. Political voices from the WA Labor government consistently expressed opposition to bare-knuckle boxing. Premier and key ministers, including the sports and health ministers, openly criticized the sport but chose not to intervene directly in the Commission's decision-making process. Sports Minister Rita Safiati emphasized that the decision was rightly within the Commission's authority. This was a matter for the Combat Sports Commission, and I respect the decision they have made, she said. The government's stance reflects broader concerns about public health and safety risks associated with bare-knuckle boxing. The rejection also sparks a wider conversation about the regulation of emerging combat sports in Australia. Bare-knuckle boxing's rise internationally has been meteoric, but it remains controversial due to its brutal nature and lack of protective equipment. Medical experts warn that removing gloves increases the risk of cuts, facial injuries, and brain trauma compared to traditional boxing. This rejection may set a precedent for other states considering similar events. It raises questions about how much regulation and oversight is enough to ensure fighter safety without shutting down the sport entirely. The Bare-Knuckle Fighting Championship has gained a growing fan base worldwide, promoting itself as a more raw, authentic form of combat sports entertainment. However, this appeal comes at the cost of increased scrutiny and opposition from medical professionals and regulators. In WA, the Commission's decision reflects a cautious approach to introducing such high-risk events into the state's sporting calendar. The debate has highlighted the tension between public demand for novel sports entertainment and the responsibility to protect athletes from harm. Rawlings' comments underscore the fighter's perspective that bare-knuckle boxing is a legitimate, skillful sport deserving of respect. But the medical community remains focused on the health implications that go beyond short-term injuries. Long-term neurological damage, including chronic traumatic encephalopathy (CTE), is a major concern cited by health authorities. This decision may influence public opinion and future policy on combat sports nationwide. It also raises important ethical questions about how society values sport versus athlete welfare. The WA government has yet to release further comment on the future of bare-knuckle boxing in the state. Meanwhile, Queensland appears ready to embrace the event, potentially making it a new hub for bare-knuckle boxing in Australia. This regional shift may affect the sport's growth trajectory across the country. Sports fans and industry stakeholders will be watching closely how other states respond to similar applications. The controversy over bare-knuckle boxing is unlikely to subside soon, as the sport continues to grow in popularity internationally. In the meantime, the WA Combat Sports Commission's decision stands as a firm statement prioritizing health and safety over novelty and spectacle. Whether this will slow or accelerate the sport's acceptance in Australia remains to be seen. For now, the future of bare-knuckle boxing in WA is on hold, while fighters and promoters look elsewhere to stage their events. The decision also sends a message to combat sports regulators about the importance of clear criteria and rigorous assessment. It shows that not all combat sports are viewed equally under the law or by the medical community. This moment could mark the beginning of a stricter approach to regulating dangerous sports in Australia. Public health experts may take this opportunity to push for further reforms across all contact sports. Athlete safety advocates will likely use this decision to highlight risks in less regulated disciplines. At the same time, proponents of bare-knuckle boxing will need to find ways to better educate the public and policymakers about the sport. Their challenge will be balancing entertainment value with the undeniable health risks involved. As the debate unfolds, the conversation about what combat sports are acceptable in Australia will continue to evolve. For now, the WA government and Combat Sports Commission have drawn a clear line regarding bare-knuckle boxing. The future of the sport in Australia remains uncertain but certainly controversial. Bare-knuckle boxing's place in the sporting world is still being fought for, both inside and outside the ring.